entity that you can point to and say, well, here goes the brainchild. This was really, I think, proof positive of what is right in American politics, in American society. People able to have a vision and a shared dream, say that we can make our own future, and then figure out a way to work together to accomplish it. So that we are here dedicating this building behind me, the welding facility, and that we are dedicating the rebuilding and refurbishing of the Hawkins Industrial Center, EIT building behind us, is a testament to that ability. Democrats and Republicans and independents, public school, county government, city government, funding organizations to be able to march forward. So I would first like to thank, if I could, and recognize, this would not have been possible without contributions from the Virginia legislature. So I would like to recognize and thank Senator Frank Ruff, Senator William Stanley, Delegate Les Adams, Delegate James Edmonds, Delegate Danny Marshall, and Delegate Don Merricks for the contribution and your support. Thank you. It also took 2 administrations at the governor's level to make this a possibility, the total. So we'd like to extend a thanks to Governor McDonald and to Governor McAuliffe. We're looking at a total, we were counting it the other day, and it reminded me of Everett Dirksen's famous quote, you know, $1 million here and $1 million there, and pretty soon you're talking real money. We started looking at what was the total investment in these 2 projects over the course of the last 5 or 6 years, and we came up somewhere between $15 and $20 million, in addition to the building, in addition to the equipment, in addition to the curriculum planning and the staff training and development and travel. $15 to $20 million. We'd like to thank the donors and investors in these buildings. I'd like to start with, if I could, the Webb family, Mr. Fred Webb Jr. and Leslie Emerson Webb. Are they here, please? If they would stand and be recognized. Here we are. I'd like to thank the J.T. Mini-Mall Charitable Trust. Again, Mr. Fred Webb, Kathy Emerson, and the Board of Trustees. Would like to thank the Danville Regional Foundation, Dr. Carl Stauber, Clark Castile, and then their Board of Directors as well. Carl and Clark, are you here? There's Clark back here. You're going to see some very impressive things inside this welding building when you go in there today. It looks beautiful. We would like to thank then the Lincoln Electric Company, Mr. Greg McQuaid. Are you here, Greg? Yep, here he is. We'd like to thank the Pruitt family. Jarrett Welding is Mr. John Carey here. I would also like to recognize that the Tobacco Commission as well has made an investment in these programs. Last but not least, members of the County Board of Supervisors and the City of Danville, if you would please stand and be recognized for their support as well. Now, I would be, I think, not doing the right kind of a service if I didn't also recognize the people that are doing this every day. Could we have the faculty of the EIT building, the automotive, the precision machining, and the welding, please raise your hand and be recognized. When it gets down to it, we've got world-class quality programs. And when it comes down to it, the people that make that happen are these faculty members. The people that make it happen are the students that enroll and take it seriously and earn and learn the skills to become valuable employees. We are grateful for the support. And there's one other fellow that I would like to introduce and recognize to the crowd. The curriculum design that you build is important. The structures that you build as we start the pipeline, there's some great things getting ready to happen and be evident to the world. If you look at what's happening in the Danville public schools and at the county schools, where students in the 6th grade are now introduced to curriculum in engineering and machining and welding and IT and health. From the 6th grade, there's the pathway that runs all the way up through dual enrollment, and they come to Danville Community College. We got representatives from the city schools today and the county schools. If you would please raise your hand and stand to be recognized. There we are. We have the capacity to have about 130 students in machining in this facility. We have the capacity to have up to maybe 50 students in the automotive. Next fall, we will have up to 64 students in our welding curriculum. With that, I would like to call on a couple of the distinguished guests, if they would please, to make a few remarks. First, the gentleman whose name is on that building in recognition of the tremendous contributions that they have made to this community, Honorable Charles Hawkins.
I'm living on Benadryl, and I apologize. Sniffle, snort, sniffle. When I looked at the program, what I really like in this program, by the way, right before my name it says former state senator. Did you see that? It says right, former, and that's a wonderful thing. Second thing about my name being on the building, when it was first put up, Carlisle took me aside and said, remember, we put that up with screws. So that keeps you humble, if nothing else. I found out over the years. And also, I was thinking coming over, I was wondering if any one of you ever heard anyone say, I wish the speech had been longer. Has anyone ever heard that remark? Well, you probably won't hear it again today. This is a wonderful thing. I have the greatest admiration in the world for this college. It has done so much. It has been able to meet the needs of this community by changing when it needs to change. This is not just buildings. I think it's a time machine. And unlike Wells' time machine, this takes generations into the future. When you walk through these doors, you find your future. And it changes with the needs of this community. And it understands that. It is able to adapt. This community college has been a boardwalk for the economic development of this area of the state. It's worked with a university. It's done things that no other college I know of can do because it filled a void that nothing else could have filled. The way the footprint has grown of this institute has been remarkable. And these buildings reflect this community. It reflects the people. It changes to meet the needs of its students, of the community itself. And it will continue to do that. And Mr. President, I thank you for what you have done. And Carlisle, I think I recognize you too for what you've done. Because it has made a hell of a difference for all of us. And I thank both of you very much. And I thank the community for your support, because without your support, we would not be here. Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much. I would also like to recognize that I picked up where Dr. Ramsey left. He left us in a good way. He left us with a good direction. He left us with a good vision. I feel like a lot of what I have endeavored to do the last 5.5 years is just carry that seed of that vision forward. I would like to recognize Dr. Carlisle Ramsey.
Thank you, President Sissom. And a very, very special expression of congratulations to everyone. What an attractive program this is, isn't it? And Bruce has already recognized so many of you, but you just look through the program and you see all the people, all the organizations, all the businesses who've been involved in helping this become a reality. I've always dreaded following Charles Hawkins because there's no way you can top what he says. But I will say this to quote from another great Virginian of many years ago, although Charles is young compared to Dana Hamill. But to paraphrase Dana Hamill, what a great day to be alive in the Commonwealth of Virginia. What a great day to be alive here at Danville Community College. And as I said, I'd like to congratulate all of you, starting with President Sissom and his team, the faculty, the staff, the students. You know, there was some efforts to adapt to the situation, moving classes, moving entire labs around, and then building and renovating these two beautiful, beautiful facilities. I'd like to just take a moment and talk a little bit. Charles talked about generations. The genesis for a lot of this work occurred a few years ago, and I'll make it fast. It was about 2011 in the summer, and I was invited along with a number of other people to Patrick Henry Community College because we were asked to meet with a senior executive with Rolls-Royce. And some of you know his name, so I'm not going to mention his name, but he was a guy who spoke his mind. And we had deans of engineering from UVA, Virginia Tech, at Danville Community College, Patrick Henry, and I'm pretty sure Avery was there as well. And this individual started going around the room, and I know Danny was there, I think Don was there, Frank Ruff was there, and economic developers were there, and he began to ask rather pointed questions to the educational leaders. And he was talking about how many mechanical engineers are going to be needed in the future just for this one industry that was coming to Virginia. And then he turned to the community colleges. And he wanted to know how many machinists we graduated a year. And Patrick Henry did not have a program at the time, and I volunteered about 25. And this is what he said. You have a capacity problem. And I thought, well, that's an interesting comment. He had already recognized over there in Prince George County, they were not going to find the talent, the trained technicians that they needed for Rolls-Royce. And then you have all the existing industries around here that were competing for that kind of talent. And I remember talking to Danny, and Danny looking at me and said, well, Carl, what do you want to do about this? And we began to, we took this as a challenge as a college, and we began to talk about how are we going to ramp up and provide the capacity for our industries, our businesses in this area, and for the state and indeed for the nation. We started with about $2 million, went to the Tobacco Commission. We were kind of out of cycle. So then we decided to roll the dice and go to the General Assembly and ask for $3.7 million. And I'd like to thank, again, the individuals that had already been recognized, and including Laura Fornash, Secretary of Education, and how we were able to get that $3.7 million. And I remember two instances in particular. I remember Danny talking to the governor while they were in Tampa, Florida, at the Republican National Convention about that money. And I remember the governor calling Don one Sunday afternoon and wanted to know about this project. And with the help of many of you, including our legislative delegation, we got the money. And then there was an opportunity to renovate the Hawkins building. And as Bruce has already said, we went from about $2 million to $3.7 million to $15 million or more. And we did that because a business leader looked straight in my eyes and collectively in the eyes of many of our leaders and said, you have a capacity problem. This man here, Senator Hawkins, recognized this more than 30 years ago. He talked about workforce before we used to spell it as two words, remember? Before the word became trendy. He recognized, as a result of trade deals and changing global economies, what this area was going to be faced with back 30 years ago. And it's only fitting that as we look at this great building, this wonderful building behind us, and we look ahead, that this building is now poised and ready to go. One final comment. That was 30 years ago, 80 years ago, 50 years after Charles had made many of his observations. It's about 1938. And a group of business leaders in the Danville area and community leaders saw on the horizon the needs. This is during the Great Depression. And they decided to start a training school. It's called the Danville Textile School. It became in 1941 Danville Technical Institute and was assumed by DTI. Mind you, that training started with an industry. One of the